What's poppin' YouTube? Back at it again. Y'all now tapped in with the Head of the Game podcast. I'm Eric Absolute, and I got a special video for y'all today, man. So make sure y'all comment, like, subscribe, tap in. Let's lock in. Let's go. Y'all read the title. Let's get busy. So this is my formula, 5 steps of getting to financial freedom and just to a place where you can have a secure amount of wealth. When you get to a certain stage or a certain point, in your journey and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's just dive right into it. Step number one, you have to know how to budget. Now, what is a budget? Because I feel like a budget has a connotation like your penny pension and stuff like that. All a budget is a formula, right? And I'm going to dive in that in just a second. So it's money going in, money going out, and you have a system that it materializes into percentages of what are you doing, and after you get done doing what you're doing, how does that materialize into other things and other decisions that you're in position to make, right? So pretty much what a budget is to me, it is a lifestyle formula in an equation, right? So if you was to look at your income or your finances as a business, you would have revenue, which is all the money coming in minus all the money coming out, and then the money would have left over would be the profit, right? So your revenue is all the money that's coming in minus all your expenses, like everything as a whole, and then the money you have left over is what you profit and what you do with that money. I'll get into that in just a second, right? So pretty much that's step one, number one. Knowing your budget, knowing how much your yearly annual income is, knowing how much all your lifestyle expenses like rent, food, car and transportation expenses, if you got other things that you got to address as well, all these things should be written down and broken down in percentages. It should be around the same ballpark month by month, right? Okay, so that's number one. Number two is credit, right? So I never really understood about credit. It took me somehow like my late 20s to understand and educate myself to even how to even start and position myself into credit, because I didn't know where to go, how to build credit. Because if you don't have credit, then you usually don't get approved for credit cards, right? So the work around that is if you don't have no credit at all, you just start from scratch and you're trying to apply for a credit card, especially a high-end one. Now, more so times than not, you're going to get denied, right? Unless, you're, one of those people that attach their credit to other people's credit and then it boosts up from there. But if you're just starting from scratch, you want to get a secure credit card. And what a secure credit card is money that you put into a credit card, you utilize it, and then it treats it as a credit card. And if the health and the behavior of how you treat that credit card is consistent and responsible, then your credit score boosts up and then it qualifies you for more credit, right? So the rule of thumb far as knowing how much to spend on a credit card to get the best results and the best impact for your credit score going up is number one, got to spend within the 10% range. Ideally 10%, none more, none less, right? Number two is you got to pay it on time, every time, all the time, right? Because when people look back on your credit history and you're trying to apply for either a car loan or you're trying to put a down payment on a house, all these things are factored in on how you treat your credit. Pretty much determines the lender of how much are you approved for, or if you even qualify to begin with, right? So that's just ultimately how to go about treating your credit and position yourself to go into a certain level of just credibility. Now, a side note, when it comes to, there's 3 stages to weaponizing just your finances. Is one, making money. Two, being able to have credit so you're spending money that you don't even have. And then three, weaponizing debt, meaning that you have a monopoly and you're so financially literate that you're taking out stuff that you don't even intend to pay back because it pays for itself once you get to a certain stage of wealth, right? So if you have you have enough money to put a down payment on an apartment complex, and now you don't pay off the apartment complex in full, you get a loan from a bank, and then that property gains equity, then you could liquidate that equity and then put it into another, business, or you could put it into another property, and you just keep that cycle going, and nothing really gets paid off because about time you gain enough money out of that investment, it's already going to the next investment, and you just keep compounding, right? So those are the three steps or the three stages to weaponizing your finances. All right, so now going to number three, which that ties into as well, which is investing. Investing, there's lots of different investments. There's crypto, stocks and bonds, ETFs, and there's also index funds, which the index funds, the most favorable, most noticeable one is the S&P 500. And breaking down the S&P 500 is pretty much the 500 top corporations in the world. And you're basically hedging your investments on just a collective amount of companies. So if one drops and the majority moves forward, then you profit more than you lose, right? So that's pretty much the safest bet, far as what I understand, far as investing into stocks and bonds and things of that nature, right? So that's pretty much idealistically, if just for beginners, if you're trying to gain passive income and things of that nature, right? So the fourth thing is, this takes a lot of skill. This takes lots of years for some people, and some people are just natural at it, which is networking skills. Networking. When you go into networking, you have to know how to connect the dots and put a compelling case with your professionalism, your resume, your presentation, all these things factored in. Being able to offer somebody a service for them to offer you a service in return, right? So say for granted, you're trying to get into an industry and you're just starting from scratch. At that point, you're high risk because you're going into an industry where you can make a lot of mistakes. And if you're not informed, do your due diligence as far as gathering information, it's a high risk situation where you got to learn by experience, right? But say if you don't want to take that route, you want to save yourself a lot of time. Then that's when it goes into finding someone that's 10 years in the game, has a high level experience, very successful, and you just go out your way. You take money to make money. So you're probably going to have to pay for a consultation or pretty much pay for a service as far as a mentorship. So that way somebody can guide your footsteps into making the right decisions and avoiding even all the mishaps and setbacks that they even had to go through. So take money to make money. If you want to honestly excel in a certain kind of specific business, it's not to say that it won't work doing it by yourself. But I mean, if you want to have a high percentage of succeeding and crossing over and making the transition, I would advise just getting somebody that's well-rounded in the game. And step number 5, which I feel like this is the most critical, and I'm going to tell you why, right? Which is your vices, your bad habits, your setbacks, and the things that draw you back, right? Because you ever hear the saying, 2 steps forward, 10 steps back. These are going to be the things that initially hold you back from not getting there, but remaining there. You feel me? As far as whatever level of wealth or success that you have, because whether you have certain people in your life that's just negative and they're always condescending and they're pessimistic and they're just always having something contradictory towards whatever you're trying to accomplish and succeed. You got to eliminate those people. If for the most part, keep it to a limit, but I advise just get rid of them altogether because they're not going to be any good. They're not any good now. They're not going to be any good towards the future, regardless of what you accomplish, what you can teach them. They are who they are and they have their agenda. Then that's external. But internal is self-reflective. So when you sit up there and you're going through all these ventures, you gotta address all your weak points, whether it's laziness, no drive, no inspiration. These are the things you have to address to even make all of these things possible. Because how many times do people come full force like, hey, I'm gonna start this new thing today, like going to the gym and working out, like, oh yeah, they got their little workout suit, they got their little water bottle, they got their protein shakes, they at the gym, they're over there on Instagram showing off like, yeah, I'm getting my body right. And then the next week all that stuff goes out the window because the honeymoon phase is out the way, and that's where the real work begins. It's not when you start, anybody can start anything, but to sustainably stay committed and stay invested is what weeds out the people that actually want to transition and change their life, and the people that just content with staying the same, right? So ultimately, that's my 5 tips of not only just gaining success and wealth, but just positioning yourself to where you can finally be financially free. All right, thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. I'm up out of here.